Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for today's community conversation. This is a series offered by StratusLIVE, and it's designed for interactive discussions on the latest trends, challenges, and best practices within the nonprofit industry. And we feature industry leaders, experts, and practitioners as they offer insight on all of the topics that are keeping nonprofit leaders up at night. So we are very glad that you all are here and are joining us for today's session. I know we do have some folks still logging in, but we have a lot to cover, so we definitely want to go ahead and get started. As far as housekeeping, the session is being recorded. You will receive a link to this recording after the event and throughout the course of today's presentation. If you have any questions for Debbie or Susan, just place those into the questions panel and we are going to address those at the end. And we'd love to have your participation throughout the course of this session to make it as interactive as possible. I'm very excited to welcome both Debbie Snyder, the Chief Revenue Officer of StratusLIVE, and Susan Wilson, Principal of Pollination Group, to today's conversation on direct mail fundraising. Yes, we're going to cover how to create effective direct mail campaigns, but more importantly, we also want to talk about how to integrate direct mail with digital and even offer you all some tips to help you kickstart your year-end fundraising campaigns that all of you are probably at least thinking about, if not planning for right now. So without further ado, I'll introduce today's speakers. Debbie Snyder is Chief Revenue Officer of StratusLIVE. Debbie has more than 25 years of experience in social responsibility, program leadership, global program development, strategic planning, marketing, and consulting. In her role, she oversees all aspects of revenue generation, from strategic planning and sales leadership to marketing integration and customer engagement. Prior to joining Stratus, she served as the Director of Community Affairs at EDS, and she's held leadership positions with several CSR software providers. So welcome to Debbie.
Thank you.
Joining us today is Susan Wilson. She has over 30 years of experience in developing integrated solutions that have driven significant revenue growth for organizations focused on hunger relief, faith-based initiatives, healthcare, cancer awareness and research, higher education, and also the unhoused. She has a lot of experience working within nonprofit direct response program strategy and analysis, a track record of building, leading cross-functional teams to deliver exceptional service and program results. Currently, she is a partner at Pollination Group. It's a direct boutique service, direct response agency that develops, implements, and analyzes direct mail and digital cultivation, stewardship, and acquisition programs for nonprofit clients. She's worked with agencies at RKD Group, Brad Cecil and Associates, and Pursuant Group, and she's been instrumental in developing direct response plans, managing client services, and ensuring that fundraising goals were consistently met or exceeded. So we're very excited to have Susan here today. I welcome her to today's community conversation to allow her to share some of these insights and strategies for successful direct mail fundraising. So thank you both. And with that, I'll pass it over to Debbie just to give us a brief overview of StratusLIVE.
Thank you, Kelly. I appreciate the opportunity to be on the call today, and it is especially a pleasure for me to have my friend Susan on the call. Susan and I worked together at a firm many years ago, and I told her the other day, virtually everything I know about direct mail I learned from this very talented lady. So it is my pleasure to be on a call with you, Susan. But let me start by just giving you a little bit of an information about StratusLIVE. We exist to drive change and increase impact through our technology. And we provide an all-in-one integrated technology platform that includes both a full service CRM and a digital fundraising platform. So part of the impetus for this conversation is while we do not manage direct mail, most of our clients, if not all of our nonprofit clients, have strong direct mail programs. And so we are always working with them to help integrate their direct mail into their digital to lead to a better response. So just a little bit about us, the things that we think set us apart. We're very proud of our 100% implementation success rate. We have never had a failed implementation in the 15 years we've been in business now, and we're very proud of that. We manage about 20 million donor profiles and have over $1 billion in annualized giving through our platform every year. And then you can see some of the awards we've won in the industry. And I promise that's the only StratusLIVE commercial, but I did want to tell you a little bit about StratusLIVE. And now, Susan, why don't you tell us about Pollinate Group?
Sure. Kelly, you did a great job sharing a little bit of our background. We work with organizations to develop overall program strategy. We implement online and direct mail campaigns, and then we analyze those program results just to make sure that we're further optimizing the program's overall fundraising, And I would say that our sweet spot for full program management is small to mid-sized nonprofits. These are the ones that maybe know that they need to bring someone in to help take their program to the next level. However, they don't quite have the budget maybe to hire a larger agency, although we are currently working on a couple of projects for Auburn University and USC. So both of those are large organizations. So we would do, we do a lot of project work for those types of clients, but then full program, I would say, on a mid-size nonprofit.
Okay, so are we ready to jump in, Kelly?
Let's jump in.
All right, let's do it. Well, Susan, I want to start off with a question for you. There's been a lot of debate around the relevance of direct mail in today's digital age. From your experience, what are some of the key factors that have allowed direct mail to remain a viable and effective fundraising tool?
Well, I think the direct mail is dying conversation is something that's been happening for a while now, over a decade really, with predictions that digital channels will completely take over. And I was guilty of that myself. In 2010, I joined a digital first agency because in my mind, I was getting ahead of the curve. But data never lies, and we could see that that just wasn't the case. Direct mail revenue is still a major piece of the pie for many organizations. And while digital channels have certainly grown in their importance, it's been great to see these two channels that are working together and not competing against each other. That was definitely something that we experienced in those earlier years as we were trying to figure out how are these two channels going to work together. People tended to keep their money separately and didn't want the direct mail and digital doing that. So knowing that we have worked those out, I think has really helped further that along. And direct mail is definitely still a powerful tool in our fundraising arsenal. What we have seen, like as we've gone through this evolution, is how direct mail is used. So we're meeting donors where they are within organizations and incorporating different response methods, changing the cadence of communication for certain donor groups. But the fundamentals of what works in direct mail, that's not changed.
Yeah, that really syncs up with what I've seen as well. I mean, I remember, gosh, I'm dating myself, but 15, 20 years ago, we were told direct mail was on the way out, and that could not be farther from the truth. So I definitely have seen that as well. And I think people thought it was direct mail versus digital, and what we're now seeing is direct mail plus digital is the success factor. So could you share an example, Susan, of a recent campaign where direct mail was effectively combined with a digital channel? What made this campaign stand out in terms of results?
Well, when I mentioned that fundamentals were not changing, I was talking about a long form letter mailed in an envelope directly asking for a donation. This hands down still outperforms other formats of direct mail. And it's the basics. It's the personal touch. There's a direct ask for a gift. There's a vehicle for the donor to respond to. In our packages, we always include a traditional reply envelope as you would expect, but we've also adapted by adding QR codes and donation URLs. That way the donor can go online if they prefer to give that way. We have had success with integrating direct mail with digital first campaigns, like a regional giving day. These events were initially designed as online-only campaigns, but the momentum and popularity that they've gained in the marketplace have made direct mail a viable component within the overall strategy. You had asked for an example. So an example of a local social services agency that we've worked with during a regional giving day. This was for North Texas Giving Day, and Community Foundations of Texas really does an excellent job with this, and they've become an example for others across the country in helping them with their regional giving days, just based on how well it's been managed and how big it's become in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. We were able to capitalize off of the momentum and incorporate a direct mail piece within the overall campaign alongside an email series and social media ads. And this client saw a 160% increase in donations compared to the previous year. This success was really driven by creating a cohesive campaign and that capitalized on the urgency of the event. And I think, Kelly, yes, you had shown a slide of really what we saw overall with that.
Wow, that's an incredible result. Who wouldn't be happy with a 160% increase in donations? Now, Susan, one thing that caught my interest, you emphasized that personalization is the key to successful direct mail. What are some of the most effective personalization strategies that you've seen, and how have they impacted donor engagement?
Well, today's donors are savvy and they expect communication that speaks directly to them. In fact, personalization is key in making direct mail resonate with today's donors in a way that really feels meaningful and relevant to them. And I'm not just talking about a name. To create impactful campaigns, it's essential to understand donor behavior and donor preferences. Gone are the days of like a one-size-fits-all approach, and that's going to get the job done. Now more than ever, donors expect us to know who they are, what they care about, how they've interacted with our organization. If a donor's participated in an event, if maybe they've signed up to be a legacy donor or they're a monthly supporter, your communication should reflect that. A generic direct mail piece simply won't cut it if you want to secure that second gift or increase that donor's overall giving. Personalization isn't just a nice to have, it's a necessity really today. And how would we effectively communicate that in our direct mail campaigns? Well, we've long used segmentation with the basics like recency, frequency, and monetary, the RFM segmentation, but we really do need to go a step further. I mean, think about it. Our phones are listening to us and they serve us targeted ads on social media. Shouldn't our direct mail be just as targeted?
That's a great point. So can you provide an example of a campaign that used advanced personalization techniques? What were some of the specific strategies they used, and how did they contribute to the campaign's success?
Sure. One of the organizations that we work with is a local humane society, and they have a strong events fundraising program, which a lot of people do. Their challenge, however, was converting event donors into donors who give outside of these events. They also have named giving circles and higher dollar donors, robust legacy program. So to address this challenge, we segmented their donor base and tailored our messaging to each of those groups. For event donors, we acknowledged their participation and their connection to the organization while introducing opportunities for them to just give outside of the event. For the higher dollar donors, we made sure that we used language that recognized their significant contributions, and we encouraged further involvement within the organization. And this approach not only personalized the communication, but it also allowed us to be strategic in how we use their direct mail budget. By identifying when to include or exclude certain groups, such as the event donors at specific times, we could more effectively steward our resources and maximize our impact from that, so that we weren't necessarily mailing all those event donors every single package. So we were able to take a big part of those donors out. The results speak for themselves. When we closely chose how we spoke to and monitored that, we've been able to increase donor engagement while also saving on the direct mail cost. Instead of sending a blanket 0 to 24 month donor mailing, we target specific segments with messages that resonated with their unique connection to the organization. Personalization, and I think I mentioned this earlier, it's really not about just adding a donor's name to a letter. It's about crafting a message that acknowledges their unique journey within your organization, and it allows you to build a stronger relationship, because that's really, what you're doing in direct response. You want to form a relationship between you, the sender, and the recipient, and that helps increase donor loyalty and ultimately drive more impactful results. Debbie, I know that you have, a background and experience in this, in social impact and donor management technology. How do you think that nonprofits can gain deeper insights into like the donor behavior and preferences to better tailor their direct mail campaigns? And what tools or strategies do you recommend for effectively gathering and analyzing this data?
Sure. I would recommend investment in a solid data analytics tool. Now, the one I'm most familiar with is ours, of course, which we call StratusLIVE IQ Marketing Segmentation. And what these tools allow you to do is help you plan, model, execute, and analyze high volume, highly segmented campaigns. I know people out there do it, but it is prohibitively time consuming and very difficult to really analyze your campaigns manually. And so with all the technology out there, I would recommend an AI-enabled analytics tool that allows an organization to take a deep look at their marketing campaigns and use the data to tailor your direct mail and actually all of your campaigns. A good analytics tool can provide real-time data insights, predictive modeling, and push-button sender-ready output files to really have a very effective multi-channel marketing integrated campaign.
Wow.
So, Susan, my question for you then, what are some best practices for synchronizing direct mail with digital campaigns? How can a nonprofit ensure a seamless donor experience across all of these channels?
It's a common misconception that your direct mail and email campaigns need to be identical. While they should share the same core messaging, the tone and style can and should be different for each channel. For example, your emails can be more conversational and timely, reflecting what's happening on the day that they're sent. The key to synchronizing direct mail with digital campaigns is really ensuring that they both communicate the same core value proposition to the donor. Every piece, whether it's a letter or an email, should clearly answer the question, if I'm your ideal donor, why should I give to your organization rather than another one or not at all? To create a seamless donor experience, it's also important to develop campaigns around key moments throughout the year. These campaigns should utilize a consistent theme across all channels, like your direct mail, email, social media, and so on, so that your message is cohesive and it reinforces these same core values no matter where the donor encounters it. I think, Debbie, it's critical really for nonprofits to leverage this technology to ensure the seamless donor experience. With this increasing importance of digital integration, how do tools like StratusLIVE help nonprofits manage both online and offline donor engagement?
It's a great question, Susan. The seamless integration of technology, we believe, is critical for nonprofits. The value proposition that StratusLIVE is founded on and that all of our technology supports is one seamless platform that can support any channel of marketing campaign. And so as donor expectations evolve, nonprofits must ensure that their engagement strategies are both comprehensive and personalized across all the touch points, whether offline or online. Too often we see these silos of data. You have your online data and your offline data and never shall the two meet. And we think that really hampers the ability for a nonprofit to be successful. So our tools
Absolutely.
are designed to play a pivotal role in this by offering a unified platform that streamlines donor management engagement. So just a few of the benefits of having an integrated platform is one of the things you mentioned first earlier, and that is a centralized donor data management, having a consolidated view into a single CRM, allowing a true 360-degree view of your donor. Whether your donors engage through a website, on social media, through a direct mail piece, or an in-person event, their entire history is stored in one place so that you can look that up and immediately understand the full view of your donor. Another advantage is integrated campaign management. So an integrated platform allows nonprofits to run integrated campaigns that reach donors through multiple channels. You mentioned earlier that the success you saw by adding a direct mail piece to a digital campaign. It's very hard to do without a system to help. It's very labor intensive if you don't have technology helping you with that particular endeavor. And so by having an integrated campaign, you can ensure that your donors receive a cohesive experience no matter how they engage with you. Another advantage with an integrated strategy, it really does allow for a personalized donor journey. By incorporating advanced segmentation and automation tools, nonprofits can create these personalized donor journeys. The technology can help you automatically trigger personalized communication based on donor behavior, such as a follow-up email after an online donation or a thank you letter after attending an event. Another advantage is online fundraising integration. So an integrated system such as StratusLIVE includes robust online fundraising tools that are seamlessly integrated with your CRM. That means donations made online are instantly reflected in the donor profile as well as donations made offline so that you actually understand all the activity of your donor. It can also help with event management and engagement tracking so that, again, it's all about, your donor donated through a direct mail response. They also attended an event and maybe they volunteered. You can see that they did all of those things and make decisions accordingly. And then perhaps, one of the most important things for the nonprofit is you then have robust analytics and reporting. And so you can then monitor the effectiveness of your campaigns, not only providing insight into your donor behavior, but also how should you be spending your limited fundraising budgets? Where are you getting the biggest bang for your buck and what's yielding the best response for you? So by leveraging technology, nonprofits can really bridge the gap between online and offline engagement and create this unified donor experience that really does drive loyalty and increases long-term support. So Susan, how would you structure an integrated campaign?
Wow, end of the year. We're there, aren't we?
Already, I know.
Next week is September. I know all the fundraisers on this call are starting to feel it too. I would say, and this is not necessarily from the technology standpoint, but I think you've done a great job sharing how you would pull and bring all of that together. But once it's out of your CRM, I think as you approach the end of the year, it's crucial to think beyond just sending out that direct mail piece or sending out a few emails. Consider developing a comprehensive campaign that ties everything together. For example, you could create a Season of Hope campaign running from November through December. And this could include a consistent logo and messaging across all your channels: direct mail, email, social media, and personal email signature, even your LinkedIn header, or if you did any press releases within your organization, you could have that. By unifying those efforts under a single theme, you can create a powerful, cohesive message that then resonates with your donors and inspires giving.
So, as someone who's seen the landscape change over the years, how do you think the role of direct mail has evolved? What do you foresee? Get your crystal ball out. What do you foresee as its future in nonprofit fundraising?
That's a big question. Very big question. And Kelly did call me out earlier that I've been doing this for 30 years. So a lot has changed in those 30 years. I mean, just our phones, for goodness sake, the fact that I can send out a direct mail piece and someone can donate through their phone is huge. Um, I would say we used to really rely on large scale mailings that consistently delivered a solid ROI. I mean, that was something that hands down you could rely on.
Mhm.
But with the rising cost of paper and postage, and then on top of that, we've seen a decline in response rates among those lower dollar donors, which were these traditional direct mail donors. This approach has become less viable. So technology advances that we're seeing in this direct mail process become more efficient. They allow for highly targeted campaigns that focus on each donor's connection to the organization. This level of personalization is something that really enhances the ROI because it drives higher response and conversion rates compared to traditional and static mail. And then, as I talked about before, you can really streamline that. So maybe instead of casting this huge net, you can have a more narrow net that you're able to hone in on with the technology. So you're not spending the same amount of funds, but able to still garner a good, solid result. Looking ahead in my crystal ball, as you mentioned, uh, I believe that the future of direct mail really lies in our ability to identify and quickly segment these donors based on their unique attributes and allowing for just that increasing granularity in the audience targeting as more, as we have more data on people and are able to do that. So each donor then would receive, this again is in my future crystal ball, but each donor receives a tailored sequence of communication across all channels. And that aligns with their interests and preferences and their giving capacity. I do think that direct mail continues to be a powerful tool, and I'm confident that it's going to continue to be effective in the coming years. The future's really going to be driven by this audience-based targeting and just the creation of smarter, adaptive donor journeys that really respond to individual behaviors and preferences.
Right. Well, thank you, Susan. Those insights are super helpful, and there was a lot of actionable information there.
Feel free to put in any questions that you might have. We also have Susan and Debbie's email on the screen, so if something comes up as you're thinking about all of this, feel free to reach out. We covered a lot of information and a lot of great ideas, and it's very clear, I think, that obviously the landscape of nonprofit fundraising is changing, but we know from Susan's expertise here that the fundamentals are still there. They're still holding strong. We need to realize that direct mail is still valuable, and it's even more effective when we combine that with digital. So from our perspective, I'd say from both StratusLIVE and Pollination Group was really, thinking holistically about your campaigns, especially as we're entering the end of year. Think about how you can combine the best of both worlds, right? The traditional direct mail and digital outreach, and think about a multi-channel strategy. It's not either or, right? And we can talk a lot about strategy, but the hard work we know is obviously putting this into practice and putting it into place. So that's where tools like StratusLIVE can really help you execute these campaigns and track online, offline donor interactions, performance, and help you optimize your campaign. So hopefully that we've offered you some tidbits here that you can think about and ruminate on. And again, Debbie and Susan's email is on the screen now, so feel free to reach out to them with any questions. And thank you both for your time today, for your expertise. We really appreciate it, and thanks to all of you all for joining us on the call today, and we will certainly follow up. You'll have the deck, you'll have the recording as well. So appreciate everyone's time today. Thank you.
Thank you.